The morning after I received the court letter, I sat on the edge of my bed staring at the floor, feeling like my entire life had been scooped out of me. The apartment was silent, too silent, no car keys waiting near the door, no office clothes laid out, no emails to rush through. Just silence and the crushing realization that I had nowhere to be and nothing left to hold myself together with. It felt like failure was sitting right next to me, whispering that this was exactly where I belonged. I spent hours pacing around my living room, replaying everything over and over. If I hadn't touched the phone. If I had left 5 minutes earlier. If I had just said no to Jessica's message. Every "if" felt like a stab to the chest. I felt trapped inside my own thoughts until a sudden knock on my door startled me. When I opened it, I found my neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, standing with a plate of warm muffins. She was in her late 60s, sweet, always checking in on the people in the building. I tried to smile, but I knew my face gave away everything I had been trying to hide. "Sweetheart," she said gently, "you look like your world is falling apart." I didn't have the strength to deny it. I just nodded. She handed me the plate. "Sit with me. Tell me what happened." I didn't want to cry in front of her, but tears came anyway as I explained the accident, the job loss, the license suspension, and the overwhelming sense of failure that refused to let go. She listened quietly, nodding, letting me unravel everything I had bottled up. When I finished, she placed her hand over mine and said the words I didn't expect. "You're punishing yourself more than life ever will." Her voice was soft, but the words hit hard. I hadn't realized it, but she was right. I had been tearing myself apart, replaying the mistake like it was a crime deserving of lifelong guilt. But she didn't lecture me. She didn't pretend it wasn't serious. She simply said, "Everyone makes mistakes that change their lives. But not everyone lets those mistakes rebuild them." She offered to help me until I got back on my feet. A ride to the store, company when I felt alone, a warm meal when I couldn't bring myself to cook. It was small kindnesses like these that slowly kept me from completely drowning. Her compassion felt like a hand reaching into the darkness I was stuck in. A week later, she introduced me to her son, David, who worked at a community center. He needed volunteers to help organize supplies, pack donation boxes, and assist with paperwork. I didn't think I had anything useful to offer anymore, but she insisted I give it a try. "It'll keep your mind busy," she said. "And you'd be helping people who've lost far more than you." I agreed, mostly because I didn't want to disappoint her. My first day at the community center was awkward. I felt like an outsider among people who radiated positivity and energy. But David welcomed me warmly, showing me around like I belonged. "Whatever you're going through," he said, "this place has a way of putting things in perspective." He was right. Every day I met people whose lives had crumbled from circumstances far worse than my own: evictions, lost jobs, abandoned families, medical bills that wiped out entire savings. Their pain wasn't measured by a mistake. Sometimes it wasn't even their fault. Yet they smiled. They still believed things would get better. Their strength humbled me. One afternoon, while organizing donated clothes, I spoke with a young mother who had lost her husband in an accident. She told me how she survived each day because someone had once shown her kindness when she had nothing left. "Life breaks everyone," she said quietly, "but kindness stitches us back together, piece by piece." Her words stayed with me long after she left. Slowly, day by day, the fog in my mind began to lift. I didn't feel whole yet, but I didn't feel like a failure anymore. I started to understand that one mistake didn't define my entire life, it just redirected it. It forced me to stop, to breathe, to see the world beyond my own chaos. A month later, David called me into his office. I thought maybe they didn't need volunteers anymore, or maybe I had done something wrong. Instead, he looked at me with a smile and said, "I've noticed the way you work. You're patient, organized, thoughtful. How would you feel about joining our staff part-time?" I didn't expect tears to fill my eyes so quickly. "Are you serious?" I asked, barely able to breathe. "Absolutely," he said. "People here trust you. You've helped more lives than you realize." It wasn't the job I had lost. It didn't come with the salary I used to have. But it was something bigger: purpose, meaning, a chance to rebuild myself from the ashes of my mistake. The day I signed the papers for the job, Mrs. Thompson hugged me tightly. "See," she said, "your life didn't fall apart. It fell into place differently." Her kindness had been the spark. Without her, I would have remained lost. Over the next months, I grew to love my work. I built routines. I made friends. I began to breathe again without guilt weighing down my lungs. And on the last day of my license suspension, I stood on the sidewalk outside my building, waiting for the bus, when David pulled up in his car. "Come on," he said with a grin. "Let's get your license back." The drive to the DMV felt symbolic, like crossing a bridge between the person I used to be and the person I had become. When they finally returned my license, I held it in my hand like it was a second chance incarnate. That evening, as I walked home through the cool spring air, I realized something important. My life hadn't fallen apart because of the mistake. It had fallen apart because I believed that mistake meant I no longer deserved kindness, forgiveness, or hope. But then kindness found me anyway, unexpectedly, gently, powerfully, and rebuilt my world from the ground up. Not everything in my life was fixed. Not everything went back to normal. But I was different, stronger, wiser, kinder, and I finally understood that sometimes life doesn't fall apart to punish you. Sometimes it falls apart so that better things can fall together. One small mistake had changed my life forever. But kindness saved it.